Okay, class, today we've got a short video on dividing mixed numbers. So last time we looked at just dividing regular fractions. Now we're going to throw some mixed numbers in there, but the process is basically the same. So just a couple things. Just like when we multiplied mixed numbers, you should always convert to improper fractions before you try to divide. Just like with with multiplying mixed numbers, if you tried to multiply the whole number and then multiplied the fraction and then just put those two numbers together, you'll get the wrong answer every single time. And it works the same way here. Do not divide the whole numbers and then divide the fractions and then put those numbers together and call it good. That answer will be wrong 100% of the time. So do not do that. So other than that, the process is exactly the same as our last video. So I'm just going to jump into some examples here. So we want to divide here. We want to write the quotient in lowest terms. So first things first, we do need those improper fractions. So our process for getting those is the exact same as it was before. We're going to multiply the whole number by the denominator and then add that to whatever was in the numerator, and then we are going to keep the denominator the same, so we'll still have thirds here. So 3 times 5 is going to be 15. 15 plus 2 is 17. So we've got 17 thirds divided by, and then remember that we can write divided by 4 as divided by 4 firsts, but we don't want to do division with fractions here. We always want to change this to a multiplication problem. So we keep our 17 thirds the same, and now we multiply by the reciprocal of the divisor. So that would be 1/4. We check real quick to see if there's anything we can reduce, and it does not look like it. So we are going to have 17 over 12, which we could leave it that way, or we could say that 12 goes into 17 one time, and there is 5 left over after we do that. So our answer could also be 1 5/12. So let's go ahead and put in that 1 5/12 here and check the answer, and we got it. Let's try one more. Okay, this time we've got 4 2/3 divided by 1/2. So 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. So what we've got is 14 thirds divided by 1/2. And we want to change that to a multiplication problem like usual. So this is going to be 14 thirds times the reciprocal of 1/2, which is 2 over 1. And we look here to see if there's anything that we can reduce, and I don't see anything. So that means we multiply 14 times 2 to get 28, and we multiply 3 times 1 to get 3. And we could leave our answer like that, or if we would like, we can change it back to a mixed number. So 3 divides into 28 9 times, and there is 1 left over after we do that. So we do have 9 1/3. And we got it. So let's throw some mixed numbers into the fray here. So remember that when we multiply or divide mixed numbers, if the signs are the same, then we have a positive answer, a positive quotient. If the signs are different, then we have a negative quotient. It doesn't matter what order they come in, it only matters if they are the same or if they are different. So right here, we've got a negative divided by a positive. Is our answer going to be positive or negative? So our final answer is going to be negative, so let's just keep that in mind. Okay, so first things first, let's change these to improper fractions. So we're going to have negative 5/2 divided by 7/2. And like usual, we want to change this to a multiplication problem. So we're going to have negative 5/2 times 2/7 by taking the reciprocal of 7/2. Now we could multiply and then reduce. I kind of like reducing before we multiply, especially because it's so easy to see right here. We've got a 2 in the denominator and a 2 in the numerator, so let's go ahead and divide those both by 2. And 2 divided by 2 in both cases is a 1. So now we can multiply straight across. We've got 5 times 1 is 5. 1 times 7 is 7. And because it was a negative times a positive, we have a negative answer. So our answer is negative 5/7. And we got it. Let's try one more. Okay, so this time we've got a negative here in the mixed number, and then we've got a negative fraction, and it doesn't really make a difference if this negative number is in the numerator or the denominator. Since there's only one, then that whole fraction is negative. So we have a negative divided by a negative, so our answer is going to be what? Our answer is going to be positive, so let's keep that in mind. Okay, so first things first. Let's turn this into a improper fraction. So we've got 8/5, or I should say negative 8/5, divided by negative 5/6, and I'm just moving the negative out front because it doesn't need to be here with the denominator. Now, something to be careful about. Do not try to cancel things. Do not try to factor common factors out until you change it to a multiplication problem. If you canceled these 5s here, you would end up with the wrong number. So let's just be careful of that. First change it to a multiplication problem, then you can try to factor things out. So what we're going to have is negative 8/5 times, we take the reciprocal of this, so we get negative 6/5. And this is why I said to wait until it's a multiplication problem until you try to factor things out. Because notice these 5s are both in the denominator, these even numbers are both in the numerator, so there is nothing that actually factors out here. So we multiply straight across, we get 48 over 25. Negative times a negative means that our final answer here is a positive. And if we want to change it back to a mixed number, then 25 goes into 48 one time, and there are 23 left over. But let's go ahead and just put in the improper fraction, see if that works too. It should. So 48/25, and we get the correct answer, and we're ready to move on to the next question. Okay. Keep that in mind as you do your work on this. Make sure you bring me any questions that you might have, and I will see you tomorrow.